So for season T1, we've seen quite a lot of changes, whether if it's the seasonal talents, the new map, or the brand new commanders. So in this video, we're gonna be discussing the best marches right now that I think will be the best performers for season T1. So stick around in this video as we're gonna be breaking it down in our usual tier maker tier list where we dissect the best marches for each troop type based on all the information we currently have from the seasonal talents and the tests we've run so far. What is up, guys? Meower here, back with a brand new Call of Dragons video. So this video I've been asked quite a lot about it in the den and some other places as well on the best current marches. But before we break down the best current marches that I believe will be the top performers of the season, first, don't forget, the usual, drop the like, subscribe, it helps support the channel, and so on and so forth. And the second thing is that I've been reading a couple of comments over the past few days about my mic not being as clear as it used to be. So do let me know if there's an issue or something so I can fix it and not have bad mic quality, because after all, I aim to entertain and help you guys, and I don't want to sound in a bad way or whatever. But that out of the way, let's head on to tier maker and start with the mages. So the best mage march, in my opinion, right now for ST1 is unchanged, to be honest. It's still going to be Lily a villain. They're pretty much the best in slot for large scale AoE combats. We've seen some reports of Lilia Velen against Bertrand Tohar, where Bertrand Tohar sometimes wins and it sometimes loses. But the problem with Bertrand Tohar, I believe, for the open field, of course, because this is a pure open field fight, is that they're single target and they're so situational that once you move Tohar, for example, doesn't work, and you need Tohar as the primary in that march, but Tohar only has access to the magic tree, and he has access to two subpar trees, which are the garrison and the support, in order to make use of his synergy with Bertrand. So you kind of need Tohar primary, so that's already a big sort of weakness, especially in large scale fights where archers and mages might have the same range as well. So you're always going to be in the threat range of archers. The same concept can go for Lilia Velen, but Lilia Velen have got so much AoE that they can kind of supplement it in a way that they can maybe target weaker marches and then hope their AoE spreads and attacks others. Versus Bertrand and Tohar, they kind of need to single out targets and just try to DPS them as much as they can. However, I believe they will be melting infantry quite a lot, but I'll have to see it in action in order to believe it. So for now, Lilia Velen will still be the top, but me personally, for my marches, I will be running Bertrand Velen. That's also an option. So Bertrand Velen will also be an option this season, I believe, because of the so much synergy Bertrand has with Velen between the crit, the defense penetration, the defense break that Velen provides, plus the defense penetration that Bertrand provides, will have a lot of synergies, especially because Bertrand has access to the skill tree, so we can see quite a lot of crits between them both, as they both have insanely high damage factors. So for now, Tohar and Bertrand will have to stay in the replacements tier for now. But that doesn't mean they're a bad investment, they just haven't proven themselves yet. For archers, I believe things have definitely changed with the introduction of the long range warfare talent. We're gonna see less counterattack builds out on the field and more single target focused DPS builds from, for example, Nico Kanara and Syndrome Frhagar. With Syndrome Frhagar, of course, being the superior pairing, as by far they've pretty much got the best DPS in the game right now in terms of single target DPS nuking people. So they'll definitely still be the top performing Archer March, especially now that they can more easily access their targets with the long range warfare. While yes, you're gonna be losing 15% your base physical damage, and I did discuss this in a previous video. And let me bring up the chart real quick so I can show you the math behind it. However, you should be careful on when you pick this up because it will massively impact your DPS for both behemoths and just PvE content in general. So I would highly advise you pick this up the moment you see yourself that you're gonna be entering war, but don't pick it up for passive PvE gameplay. As you can see here, depending on the breakdown, archers will lose somewhat of 24% of their effectiveness versus mages. But the thing is, archers were already overkilling mages. So, in a way, you're only losing less than 200 base damage. While yes, that is quite a lot and that is quite significant, you're still ahead of mages by quite a large mile. You're just losing 15% stats versus everything. Archers did have 35% more attack than mages, but now they're gonna only have 24% more than mages. So I still believe it's still gonna be a core talent, and it's not gonna be that weak or anything. You're just gonna have to accustom more for the new playstyle where you kite like a mage but hit like a truck. So I believe these two will be the meta marches for ST1. I believe that Hoskanara are pretty much gonna be dead this season because you don't need counterattack build if you can already reach the mages by hitting them as the same range. So that's just my 2 cents on the matter. If you have a different opinion than me, feel free to let me know. As for infantry, infantry got a huge buff this season from the seasonal talents, so I believe Skogul and Goresh are gonna wreak havoc this season, especially with access to these two. Uh, to this talent, rebound rather, when your infantry units come under attack from ranged units on the field, they have 10% chance to reduce damage taken by 20% and deal counterattack damage to their target. The problem with Goresh and Skogul is that they're not as tanky as Madeline Garwood, but they deal a lot more damage. Now that you're going to have a 20% attack reduce damage reduction, they're going to be hitting even harder with that extra 180 damage factor. Plus it can stack infinitely and it doesn't have a cooldown. Plus it can work wonderfully with Goresh's third skill, making them an insane DPS unit. And one more thing that people might not realize is that once your Goresh and Skogul touch any range march, it's just certain death for any range marches. And now that mages and archers are going to have the same range, there won't be that line of buffer for um mages to hide behind their archers, so they're all gonna be hit in the same time, and then Goresh and Skogul, coupled with the rage skills and the AoE from them both, are just gonna be melting backlines here back and forth, though it will be a bit more difficult to reach it. That's why I put them above Madeline Garwood, because of this skill right here, the Guerrilla Tactics. You gain an extra 60% march speed, helping you close the gap, and the moment you start touching people, they're pretty much a guaranteed KO. But if you still like Mallow and Garwood, they'll still be in the replacement tiers, but they've definitely fallen a bit out of flavor compared to Goresh Skogul that have become the biggest winners of this map and this season, in my opinion. Next up, Cavalry. Cavalry's still trash, still useless to be honest. I don't even know what is even possible to make Cavalry useful. But of course, by far the best open field march will still be Bakshi Emrys, though if you want to run flyers, then Ferrondo is still as deadly as ever. But for regular walking Cavalry, Bakshi Emrys are still the best, especially now with the buffs to the charge attack that will help them get in range and start nuking people left and right. Because Cavalry Vanguard, if you are a Cavalry player, be sure to pick it up. When your cavalry units launch an unyielding rush at their targets, their rush speed and their range is increased by 50%. And of course, when your cavalry here, they take 20% less damage, and the rush skill cooldown is decreased by 15%. And Bakshi Emrys' whole problem was that they're pretty squishy. But now that you take 15% less damage, that actually helps them, or rather 20% less damage, that actually helps them get into the field or rather start attacking people in a healthier state, allowing their skill cycles to hit even harder. So I still believe Bakshi Hammers are still going to be the superior. You can still run Ferrando, Theodore Ferrando, or Bakshi Ferrando, Bakshi Theodore, or Bakshi Ferrando, or Emrys Ferrando. They're still all really good, but again, you're going to be using cavalry that will be hit from both mages and archers at the same range, making their life 2 times as difficult. For the flying units, I believe the best march will be Bertrand Thea or Thea Bertrand, depending on which you want primary, but The thing is, with Bertrand, with the moment you start using him, if you're not coupling him with Tohar as your primary, then treat his second skill as a peacekeeping. Because the only way for you to actually make use of it, of at least one extra skill or one extra stat from it, is if you have him as your secondary. If you have him as your primary, just forget the skill even exists and it will make your life so much easier. I will go more in depth on that on his guide that should be coming out really soon. I think I pretty much figured out his builds and his pairings and the way you use him properly in the most effective way. So be sure to keep an eye out and don't forget to subscribe so you can um, so you don't miss it. You can also couple Bertrand with Atheist. Both are really solid marches. I still believe that Wilderberg flying units are still kind of trash, but if you do decide to go for the long range warfare, I wouldn't sleep on Craig Thea because you can just keep sending bleeds out from his rage skill because his rage skill is kind of one of the strongest skills when you awaken him. It deals quite a lot of damage and that damage adds up significantly. Skill cycling and dealing damage with the bleed over and over and over again, making him really underrated in terms of DPS. And of course, flying cavalry, you got Ferrando Thea, can't go wrong with that, but no other flying cavalry pairs kind of exist. So these guys are a no brainer. So let me put Craig in the replacement here, but this only works if you're going for the long range warfare talent. If not, then don't bother with Rollerbrick Flyers, they're just complete poo poo. PP poo poo. As for the rest of the replacements, we can still see in this out on the field, we're still going to see Waldir out of the field, especially for mage mains that want to run three or more marches. We're definitely going to see some in this. We're going to see some Waldir, but I don't think we're going to see some Pan. We're definitely not going to see any and Nika's. She's kind of fallen off a cliff after the first couple of seasons. Same goes for Bakar. We can still see some Alwins for mage as well, but Guanwin, Eliana, and Alistar are completely worthless right now. And if you're going for them, you're kind of gimping yourself in general. But that is it for my tier list and for the best marches right now. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have different opinions? Feel free to let me know in the comments down below or join the Discord. Let's have a discussion because, I love advertising the Discord and I just love interacting with you guys in general. It's always fun waking up to see messages in the den and chatting with you guys. It's the only reason why I even do this, for the community. But on that note, thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please be sure to drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe. And I will have a wonderful day. And I will see you in the next video. Meow meow.